Okay, in this video we'll see the analysis of amplifiers. So we shall consider CS amplifier. Of course, it has got transistor M1 and we have the biasing resistors R1, R2, RD. We have a coupling capacitor CC. Of course, input is Vin. We are measuring the output voltage at the drain point of the transistor. So we know that there are two possible analysis. One happens to be the uh, time response. This is time response, and the second important one is the frequency response. Okay, we already know that how to analyze the frequency, sorry, the time response. So what we'll first basically do is we write the small signal equivalent circuit of this CS amplifier to analyze the time response. So the circuit comes out to be something like this now. So this is V in, and we have some thumb rule, okay, making this VDD equal to ground. The first thumb rule is for writing the AC small signal analysis, make all the DC supplies will be made as ground, and of course you short all coupling capacitors as short circuit. So this is one thing, and you replace the MOSFET by its equivalent model. So equivalent model. So these are the three uh, thumb rule that we'll be following to write the AC equivalent circuit to analyze any response of the circuit. So let us do the same thing here. So we already know that, okay, this is R1 and this is R2. They will come in parallel, and of course I'm shorting this CC here. The CC is not coming over here because, so whenever I'm doing the time response response a response of a circuit, so I'll be looking at what is the mid band. For mid band frequency, I want to understand, okay, how does this will going to respond. Of course I will going to replace this MOSFET by its equivalent circuit, having gate, source, and of course this is drain. This is drain point. We're going to represent the MOSFET by its equivalent model, which is equal to Gm into VGS. So this is a voltage dependent current source, and of course I'll have an RD coming here. Of course we will write, this is my V0. This is the equivalent circuit if you're considering lambda equal to 0, when where you're considering there is no channel length modulation. If at all, if you consider lambda equal to a non-zero value, you will end up with a resistance R0. So we already know that one of the important parameter that we'll be finding out here is what is the voltage gain of the amplifier, which comes out to be for this particular circuit diagram, which is nothing but V0 by Vin happens to be minus Gm into Rd if lambda is equal to 0. The same thing happens to be minus Gm into Rd parallel R0 if you are considering lambda as a non-zero quantity. This happens to be the voltage gain, and of course you can also find out what is the input impedance, that is Rin. Rin happens to be R1 parallel R2. Similarly, one more important parameter, the output resistance happens to be Rd if you are considering lambda equal to 0. If you are considering lambda to be non-zero, then it becomes Rd parallel R0 when lambda is not equal to 0. So these are the very important parameters that will be obtaining from the time response. What is the voltage gain of the amplifier, what is the input impedance, what is the output impedance of the amplifier. So coming to of course we know that, okay, in time response we consider a certain frequency for its analysis, because whenever you are considering any analysis, we have to consider a certain frequency, especially for time response. So we will be considering the mid-band region where the gain is fairly constant. We also call this as mid-band gain. Mid-band gain of the amplifier happens to be minus Gm into Rd, and of course it is so and so when lambda is non-zero. Let us try to understand what is the equivalent circuit whenever you're considering a frequency response. So now as we know that frequency response is the response of this entire circuit, as the frequency ranges from a very low frequency to high frequency. So over this range of frequency, what is the behavior of this particular circuit? So we want to basically find out what is the response of my voltage gain across frequencies, because we know that as frequency varies, the gain cannot be constant. So when we are saying that as the frequency changes, gain not remaining constant, means we need to always find out uh, what happens to why the gain is not remaining constant. So we need to actually find out, okay, why the gain of the amplifier is not remaining constant when we are change the frequency. So one of the most important modification that will happen in the small signal equivalent model when you're considering the frequency responses. So first and foremost thing, we cannot neglect this CC which we were neglecting over here. So we were replacing it by short circuit. So frequency response, so you need to consider the coupling capacitor, and more than that, this MOSFET which was being represented by a very simple equivalent circuit which is in the form of GM into VGS. This is gate, drain, and this is source. And of course, if there is a R0 there, then you are representing it by so and so. So this was the representation of the MOSFET for time response. So this is for time response representation. That too at midband. That too at midband frequency. Midband frequency. Suppose if you want to consider the what equivalent circuit of a MOSFET for frequency response, then we need to consider the capacitances associated with this particular transistor. So we're going to have one capacitor between uh, this is C, G, D, and then we're going to have one more capacitance between C, G, S. These are the two important capacitors that you're supposed to consider. Of course, we also have other capacitances, like, okay, you're going to have a capacitance between C, D, B, and then you're going to also have a capacitance between C, SB, that is bulk to source and bulk to drain capacitance. And of course we also have this CGS and CGD for the initial understanding. So let us not consider this, okay, bulk to source capacitance and drain to bulk capacitance, because we are assuming that source to bulk voltage is equal to 0, meaning we always short source and bulk each other. So when source and bulk is shorted to each other, we know that, okay, this capacitance reduces to 0, and then we won't consider, because the contribution of this CDB is not that much affecting your circuit performance. So that's why for the first level of understanding, we are not considering this CDB and CSB. So let us only consider this CGD and CGS for the frequency response of this CS amplifier. So the equivalent circuit now looks like now something like this now. So this is my CC, because as it was said, I will not be neglecting this. I want to certainly consider this capacitance, and of course we're going to have this as my R1, R2. Of course this is gate, because you can see now between gate and source you have a capacitance which is CGS. So let me write this as CGS. Then we know that this is drain, and between drain and source you have a current source GM into VGS, which is a voltage dependent current source. Then you can see between gate and drain you have a CGD. So let me write, this is a capacitance which is CGD now. And of course let us assume that this is my RD. So let us assume that lambda equal to 0, where R0 is infinity. So that's why you don't have a R0 here. So this is V. So this is what you have basically now. This is the equivalent circuit of the CS amplifier when you are analyzing frequency response of the circuit. So whenever you are analyzing a frequency response, so you are considering resistors which were already there in case of time response, along with those resistances, because capacitances will have a different reactances at different frequencies. So I need to consider what is the reactance offered by each of the capacitance. So that's why I'm retaining the capacitances CC, CGS and CGD in the circuit. So let us try to rewrite this equivalent circuit. You can see there is one capacitance which is there between, you know that this is input, this is output. So there is one capacitance which is floating between the input and output. So now this has to be reduced. So what we'll do is using Miller's theorem, we will split this capacitance one to this side and other to this side. So let me name this as C1, let me name this as C2. Now CGD will be represented as in the form of C1 and C2, so that this floating capacitance can be replaced by C1 and C2. So let us rewrite that circuit. So this will make our analysis easier, so that we can avoid this floating capacitance. So now this is how it is looking like now. This is R1, R2, you have CC. Now you are having C1 here, which is what representation of CGD between the gate and the drain. And then of course you have your CGS as it is. So these are all the parasitic capacitances which cannot be physically it's not a lumped capacitance, because the structure of your MOSFET you won't have that capacitance. So this is GM into VGS, and then you have C2 here, and this is RD. Now you can see this happens to be, this is G, D and S. This happens to be the equivalent circuit of the CS amplifier in presence of all capacitances that are there available. So let us rewrite this by some more simplified version. So let me rewrite, of course, let us retain this CC as it is. You had R1 and R2 in parallel. Let me represent it by Rin. So where Rin happens to be R1 parallel R2, and then you also had one more set of capacitance. This C1 and CGS are coming in parallel. You can simply represent it as Cin, which where Cin is nothing but C1 parallel with CGS. And of course you have, this is what, GM into VGS, and then you have this RD, and then you have your C2. Of course we can actually find out what is this C1 and C2s and all those things. C1 is actually equal to CGD into 1 plus AB, so 1 plus magnitude of AB, where C2 happens to be CGD plus CGD into 1 plus 1 over AB, 1 over magnitude of AB. So this is using Miller's theorem, we can able to get the expression for, or the values for C1 and C2 in terms of CGD and the gain of the amplifier, So this happens to be V0 and this is Vin. So when I say gain of the amplifier, this is the midband gain. So this is the midband gain of the amplifier. So now, whenever we are analyzing the frequency response of an amplifier, let us also consider the source resistance offered by this source. Let me say it as R signal. So now this is the equivalent circuit of CS amplifier for all frequencies. Now we know that this will going to behave with a different equivalent circuit whenever the frequency is low, whenever the frequency is high, whenever the frequency is there in midband. This equivalent circuit will look like a totally different one. So if you want to rewrite this circuit at these three different frequencies, how it looks like at low frequency, how it looks like at high frequency, how it is looking like at midband frequency. So let us try to understand that. So let us first try to how it looks for low frequency. For low frequency, we know that as the frequency is less, Xc, which happens to be 1 over 2 pi F into C, that is frequency into the capacitance. So since F is very less, the entire Xc value is always very large. Xc value is very large, meaning the reactance offered by the capacitors of the entire circuit will be very high when you are operating at low frequency. So I can apply this condition to my equivalent circuit here and then try to rewrite the circuit. So as it was said that the reactance offered by the capacitor is high at lower frequencies. Now we have this R signal and CC. Now the reactance offered by this CC is far greater when compared to R signal at low frequencies. So I will neglect this R signal compared to CC at low frequencies, so that I can write my equivalent circuit. Where I am neglecting R signal is far less than reactance offered by the coupling capacitor XCC. So I will neglect this R signal, but I'll retain this CC. I'm retaining. This is one thing that is happening. In the second case, since it is again at low frequency, X of C in is far greater than Rin. X of C in is far greater than Rin. So since you have to select between these two, whichever is having lesser impedance, you'll be considering that when they are in parallel. So out of this Rin and Cin, the reactance offered by this Cin is very high at low frequency, and reactance, of course, the resistance of this will be relatively lesser compared to this reactance at very low frequencies. So you retain the smallest component whenever they are in parallel. So now this is Rin. We know that okay, let us slightly understand. If you have two things in series, suppose if it is R1 and R2, so if R1 is far greater than R2, so we can certainly rewrite this by a single resistor R1, because the series combination you're going to retain the highest impedance which is contributing out of these two. Similarly, when you have these two are in parallel, now assume that you have Rx and Ry. Rx is far greater than Ry means, so which one is the least? You can see now Ry is the least one, because Rx is far greater than Ry. Now the equivalent circuit of this would be only Ry. So whichever is contributing lesser will be the dominating one. Here whichever is offering higher resistance, that will be the dominating one. In this case, the one which is dominating is Cc at low frequency. The one which is dominating at low frequency is again Rin here. Why it is Rin is because it is very less compared to this reactance. So that's why, since these two are in parallel, when you have two things in parallel, whichever is contributing least will going to be the dominating one. So that's I'm just retaining Rin here. So this way we can able to choose from these two Cc as the effective component, and between these two Rin is the effective component. This is at low frequency, and then you can just write this here. This is Gm into VGS, and then you can write this as RD, because the reactance offered by C2 is too much. Now this is V0. So this is the equivalent circuit of your amplifier at low frequency. So if you can see here, this exactly happens to be the same as it was analyzed in case of your time response. So the gain of the amplifier is minus Gm into RD, but you can see this is acting like a high pass filter. So now this is something like this now. So this is C and R. Suppose if you consider this part of your equivalent circuit only, this is, suppose if you consider this as some Vx. So Vx is actually the output of this Vin. So it looks like a high pass filter. Meaning as the frequency increases, the Vx values keep on increasing here. You can see it is keep on increasing and it becomes constant. And What is the frequency at which it becomes almost constant is, it is a frequency called as the cutoff frequency. In this particular case, f1 is equal to 1 over 2 pi c into r for this particular circuit. Now for the amplifier circuit, what is this cutoff frequency? Cutoff frequency of this high pass filter is decided by this cc and rn. So whenever you're considering the frequency response of the amplifier at lower frequencies, the component that contribute to the frequency response happens to be cc and rn, meaning it will have a slope of plus 20 dB per decade. So this is what is plus 20 dB per decade. This is frequency. You can still consider this as gain, and the cutoff frequency of this happens to be f1, which is equal to 1 over 2 pi. In place of C you have a coupling capacitor Cc, in place of R you have R in. So typically what we want to have is this frequency should be as small as possible. So this frequency can be made as small as possible. The option is you always select a larger value of Rin so that your F1 is as small as possible, so that I can able to amplify even the lowest frequency signal, So that's why typically the input impedance of all amplifiers are considered to be are expected to be very high enough so that you can have lower cutoff frequency. This frequency can be as low as possible so that you can effectively amplify the signal, amplify the lowest possible frequencies. So this is the frequency response of the amplifier at low frequency. Let us try to find out what is the equivalent circuit when it is there at higher frequencies. So again, we know that again the XC. Now the second one is at high frequency. How does this equivalent circuit will look like? So at high frequencies, as we know that, so what we have now is we have this Xc is given by 1 over 2 pi Fc. So this is, now you have these two components. Now there is a R signal, there is a Cc, there is a Rin and the Cin. So we need to select either of these two. One of them is dominating, here also one of them is dominating. Since the frequency is very high, the reactance offered by this Cc will be very, very less. So then this will be very least significant compared to R signal, so you retain R signal. Then compared to this Rin and Cc, because this is contributing least at higher frequency, you retain this, then you neglect Rin. So the equivalent circuit at the input side becomes something like this now. So you have your R signal now, and then you have your C in. So because now why this, okay, Cc is neglected means the reactance offered by this is very less at high frequency compared to R signal, you neglect this. Now Rin will be pretty large, but this Cin will be very less because you are operating at high frequency. Then the reactance offered by this is less, because parallel combination whichever is least is the dominating one. So Cin is least, so that's why we'll go to dominating circuit. See, now this is a low pass filter. This is looking like a low pass filter. And then you have this GM into VGS, and then you have this as your RD, and this is your C2 or C out, you can write it as. This is a current source. What you can also think of doing is, so this is V in now. What you can think of doing here is, so this is R signal, C in. Let us replace this by a voltage source plus minus, and you can write it as AV naught as AV naught into VGS, and this you have RD here, and then you have C2. This is this. So basically, if you can see here, you have between input and output you have two filters. One is this low pass filter comprising of R signal and Cin, and there is one more low pass filter consisting of R, D and C2. Now this is how the equivalent circuit of a CS amplifier looks at high frequencies. At high frequencies, this is how it is looking. Since we know that the frequency response of the amplifier of the low pass filter is something like this, so till certain frequency it is constant and then it comes down. So since we have two such low pass filters, you can say you have this as some f2, and then okay, assume that okay, this is corresponding to this low pass filter, and let us write the low pass filter of this as something like this. Now you can see now this is f1, this is f2, this is f3. Now since these two are the frequency responses of this filter and this filter exclusively considered, since these two are cascaded to each other, so we can rewrite the equivalence overall frequency response of this as, okay, starting from midband. So this is at high frequency. You can see there is one slope change which is happening at f2, and since this is happening at a far later frequency, you can see there is one more change in frequency. You can see now it was supposed to go like this. It is having one more cutoff frequency. That cutoff frequency, let us consider this as f3. Now what is the magnitude of this f2, f3? So because we are naming this as a cutoff frequency f2 due to these two components, I can write f2 as equal to 1 over 2 pi r signal into Cin. So since this is due to this RD and C2, I can write it as 1 over 2 pi RD into C2. So of course this C2 can also be written as C out, which is nothing but this is the magnitude of C2, and of course this is of C1. So this is the frequency response of this same CS amplifier. When the frequency is high, when the frequency is low, it is something like this, So when you are there in the mid-band frequency, so you can simply neglect the capacitances offered by the capacitor. You can consider all capacitors which are there in series as short circuit. You can open circuit the shunt capacitances, meaning so the equivalent circuit of your CS amplifier at mid-band frequency. At mid-band frequency looks like exactly the one which we have considered for the time response. So this is the frequency response. This is the equivalent circuit of the CS amplifier whenever you are considering for mid-band. Okay, as I wrote it here, this is for the mid-band. So when you're considering it for the mid-band, so since there is no capacitances involved in this, the frequency response of this circuit would be, okay, let me rewrite this. You have this as V in, and then you have R1, you have R2, and then since we're not considering any capacitances, what we're doing is CC is made short circuit, and the C1, C2 and okay, let me write as Cin and C2 are made as open circuit. Open circuit means you want to make it as very high impedance which are in parallel, and you make it as very low impedance if the capacitance is in series. You can see CC has been made short circuit, and you have R1, R2. Of course this is made open circuit. You have this as GM into VGS, and then you have this as RD. Since you don't have any frequency, any capacitance component here, the frequency response of this happens to be a straight line. The frequency response of this happens to be a straight line with a magnitude of gain as equal to minus GM into RD, So when we are combining three frequency responses, so we know that the frequency response for the low frequency happens to be something like this here. This is for low frequency. If we can just collect it from here, you can see this is how it happens for a low frequency. So let me just consider this as frequency, and let us name this region as relatively low frequency, which corresponds to a cutoff frequency of f1. You can see it's almost fairly constant here, and then it becomes almost constant. Now you are in midband. This is midband, you can see at this point you have a gain of AV, which is equal to, of course, magnitude is equal to GM into RD, GM into RD. This is midband. And again at higher frequencies, what will happen is first you will have one cutoff frequency and then you have one more cutoff frequency. So I will name this as high frequency response. So one of them is corresponding to F2, the other one is corresponding to F3. You can see there is a change in slope. If there was no change in slope, it would have went like this. Because there is one more frequency, it is coming out to be F3. So we can actually note the component that are contributing for F2, F1, F2, F3. Here it is 1 over 2 pi R in into Cc. Here it is 1 over 2 pi. You can write it as okay, F2 happens to be, because we consider this F2 is due to this R in and C in, sorry, R signal and C in. Okay, now you can see, let me write it as R signal and C in. Now this is due to 1 over 2 pi R D into C out, or R D into C2. C out or C2, C out or C2. So this is the overall frequency response of the CS amplifier considering low frequency, mid band and high frequency. So whatever magnitude that you get at the later part of low frequency is same as the mid band frequency, and the earlier part of high frequency will be same as the mid band frequency. That is your mid band gain. One more thing that is to be understood here is that since F2 comes first here, I will call this F2 as dominant pole or dominant frequency. Now sometimes, suppose if this Rin happens to be very small value, suppose if you have a very good source, then this Rin, if it is very less, then what happens is F3 will come first. F3 will come first, so it will come first here. So whenever this F3 is coming first, then whichever, suppose assume that since Rin is very less, so as sorry, it's not Rin, it is R signal. This is R signal. R signal is the source resistance of this particular here this one R signal. If this R signal is very less, we know that, suppose if R signal is very less, so does this frequency, if R signal is very less, does your F2 is too much? So F2 may just go like this. So if F2 may just come to this very high frequency, meaning whatever dominant pole we are considering can be due to the source resistance or due to the RD. Suppose if R signal is very less, then F3 will come first and F2 will come later. So then in such case F3 will going to dominate, meaning, okay, let me rewrite this equivalent circuit or the frequency response when R signal is very less, because we need to have a source which is of very less source resistance. Then in such case, because this R signal very less means the value of F2 is very large, so you first get just F1 and then you have one cutoff frequency and then you have one more cutoff frequency. Since you have this F2 to be very large, F2 is coming here, F3 will come first and then you have your F1. Of course, I am writing this F1, F2, F3, they are actually 3 dB down from the maximum. So they are actually 3 dB down from the maximum. So this is approximately where you are going to have a change in slope here. So now in this case, F2 is not the dominating frequency. The dominant pole or dominating frequency is F3, which is now due to 1 over 2 pi RD into C2. This is 1 over 2 pi R signal into C in. This is C in, and then you have this as equal to 1 over 2 pi R in into Cc. So this is the gain of the amplifier in terms of magnitude. So this is frequency. So typically frequency response of a CS amplifier means how the circuit behaves across different frequencies. So at low frequency you can see there is a high pass filter. At low frequency it behaves like a high pass filter. That's why this is the frequency response of a high pass filter having a cutoff frequency F1, which is decided by what is the value of R and C. The corresponding R and C's are Rin, that is input impedance of the amplifier, and the coupling capacitance value. And when you go to high frequency, this is the equivalent circuit. So where you can see two low pass filter circuit comprising of R signal and C in, resulting in something like this type of cutoff frequency, sorry, this type of frequency response. This is frequency, this is again AV magnitude, and due to this RD and C2, we're going to have one more frequency response similar to that of this low pass filter. Since these two are coming in cascade, you may end up with this type of frequency response where it is F2, F3. These two F2, F3 are interchangeable depending on whichever comes first. That purely depends on the value of R signal and C. So this way we can able to analyze the frequency response of the CS amplifier thoroughly.